Hello everyone, this is Jim. And for this week 8 Lynda video, I want to show you how you can go ahead and embed a chart on a form that you get within your database for Microsoft Access. And in particular, we'll do this on a subform that you've got maybe set up in a main form that's in your database. And so you've got a couple tables. Remember, your main form would be the one-sided relationship. And the subform would be the table that's like the many-sided relationship that would have multiple records showing for one record on the main form. So let's go ahead. I'll show you what I've got set up in my database and then go through that little process. And let me go into form view. And so you can see I've got pretty much like we have in the tutorial for this week. I've got my main form, which shows my contract information. So with each contract, we may have multiple invoices showing up or needing to, or that will show up based on how the payment's being made for a contract. So my main information for my contract is right here, my main form, contract ID, customer name, etc. Down here, I've got a tab control, and I've got my first page, my tab control, my invoice information, and invoices per one contract. So for my contract 100, I've got multiple invoices. So this is the invoices table information coming through. You can see contract ID is actually my linking field between my invoices table and my contract table. The invoice ID field is the primary key field for my invoices table. So you can see for each record here, that's going to be a different value. I've got my amount of my invoice for each one, and then the invoice date. So what I'm going to do is actually create a chart that will show the information for the invoice ID and the actual amount of that invoice then. And I'm going to do that on my invoice chart tab control page right here. So I will go ahead and get started with that. And again, this is going to be what you'll be doing this week to go through that process of getting these set up and being able to embed a chart into a subform while you're in your main form in Access. So I'm going to go into Design View. And I will click on my invoice chart tab area, and from here I'm going to go up and click on my chart button, come down here, and I'm just going to click once in there, and I'll get into my little process of setting up my chart. So I'm going to be going from my invoices table, so I'm going to click on that, and this wizard basically guides you through the process. I will click on Next. So what fields I want to chart? Well, I actually want to chart my invoice ID field and then the actual amount. Those are my two fields I'm going to use. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to use my pie chart option, and then I'll hit Next. Now you can see I've already got kind of this information laid out, or the wizard kind of goes through and decides that, okay, you're going to have invoice ID, and then the amount is actually going to be what's represented in the pie chart area. You can always kind of modify this later if you want to. So I'll show you how you can go in there and make some tweaks if you need to. We'll go ahead and hit Next. Contract ID is my linking fields between these two tables, the contract table and the invoice table, so I don't have to really make any change on this. And again, I already had these tables set up and had the relationship built between these two tables, so that's why this is able to show here. I will click Next. I want to display a legend, yes, and I'm going to say invoices by ID for my chart title, and hit Finish. And so right now it has some generalized information that comes from Microsoft Graph. So once we actually save and then go into the form view, we'll actually see the accurate information that will be in this chart. So I'm going to click on Form View. So let's go to my invoice chart tabbed area. And here then you're seeing my invoices by ID, so my 300 being the biggest one, 400 being the next, and then the 99 invoice being the smallest. If we take a look at this, 99 is the smallest, and then 300 is the biggest, $99 or $99, and then 400 being $567. So we are seeing an accurate representation of this information on this chart. If we go back in Design View, we can make modifications, especially if we want to choose a different type of chart. To do this, you're going to double-click on this chart, and you get into what's called Graph, Microsoft Graph, which is kind of the tool that's used to create charts and manipulate charts in Access. You can see down here that we get like a little data sheet view that shows us our two fields, invoice ID, sum of amount, and then the actual values being used. So at this juncture, I could go in. I could actually make changes on this if I wanted to, in terms of like the labels, if I wanted to, or amounts. I'm not going to do that because it's really linked to that table. So that's something you really wouldn't want to do at that point, because then you're kind of going against the information you've got in your table. So it's always best to kind of change information in the table if you needed to. But up here, I can go ahead and change the type of chart I've got. So if I click on that chart type button, I can maybe change this over to a columnar chart. So I'll click on that. And you can see here then sum of amounts, 300, 499, showing each one ID, invoice ID, and then the amounts. And I can make some different modifications here if I wanted to. I could go and try this as a bar chart. So again, a lot of different ways I could kind of work this if I wanted to. Make it a 3D chart. So some nice things here you can work with, and again, this kind of gives you a nice visual display for the information on your subform while you're going through and using a subform setup to view information from two tables in your Access database. So this will be what you'll be doing this week, and again, you want to make sure you get your subform set up using your tab control to accomplish this, and you'll be off and doing pretty well in that situation then. Just a quick review: if you want to create a tab control or add another tab, you can simply click on this and then come down here, and this is how you create your tab controls. So nice easy way to create these, and I'm not going to have two on here, but I'm going to delete that one. But again, a little review: how do you create a tab control functionality that would allow you to go ahead and create your setup that you need in Access. So if you have any questions this week, please contact me, and I will certainly help you out. Otherwise, I think you'll have some fun with this assignment and getting these charts embedded on your subform. So I will talk to you soon. Thank you.